May 20th, 2019, the Raw after Money in the Bank. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm here with Raj Giri. Mr. Matt Morgan will be coming along. He's doing some Longwood mayoral stuff. And tonight's Raw. Oh, we have a new title, the new 24/7 title. We have a new Mr. Money in the Bank, Brock Lesnar, shaking things up, shaking his groove thing on the way to the ring with Paul Heyman. A different third hour tonight with lower lights. Raj, did this feel like a different Monday Night Raw to you?
I wonder what the thing was with the lights, because the Tron also scaled back. So I don't know if there was an issue with the power grid or something like that, to where they couldn't have all their stuff running. But I don't know if this is a change. I doubt it is. I think it might have just been for tonight. But you know what? I thought, for a while, I was liking this episode for probably like the first 90 minutes or so. I thought it was pretty good.
You know, I know a lot of people are upset about Brock Lesnar being back, and I don't think any of the problems have gone away, except for one. He seems remarkably engaged holding that Money in the Bank briefcase and knowing that he's the ultimate spoiler. Yeah.
I mean, Brock was more animated tonight than I think I've seen him in a long time.
Yeah, great. Who cares? I'm cutting in. Listen, guess what? The fans of our podcast are irate, and they are going to ban you guys at the. They're going on strike. They're not going to watch you guys' little thing at Starrcast because you didn't invite the star of the show. Moi.
Because why?
Because you didn't invite moi to your little Starrcast.
Someone's mayor. Someone's mayor, and
that is not why.
Mayoral
Folks,
duties.
Don't buy that.
Oh my! Hey, you're welcome, man. You're welcome to do a run-in. Come in and F5 Nick Hausman.
You guys are gonna kill us both. Hey, dude, I didn't see Brock last night. You guys, I shut it off because I was so pissed. As soon as he won and was flexing on top of the ladder, I was irate. I didn't see him doing running man and moonwalk, basically holding it up on his, like a boombox on his shoulder up on the rampway last night after the pay-per-view.
Oh no, that was tonight. That wasn't a replay. He was doing that tonight.
Oh, okay. I saw it on Instagram pop up, and I popped huge for that because I must have missed that one part of it, obviously.
Yeah, Brock looked like he was having a good time.
That was pretty funny. You could tell he wanted to bust a moonwalk. You could tell.
Yeah, I think he was trying, but
I think that was his best. Yes.
You got to slide the foot. You don't anyway.
Yeah. At least go on your tippy toes, Brock. Come on, man.
But he looked like he was having fun out there. That seemed to be the most he's enjoyed being on Raw in a long time.
I was trying to tell my wife, I was like, is there a way possible that Brock can win both titles here in this match? Is there a way? I was like, no.
I was just thinking that too.
I think you have to say whose title. Like, it has to be one.
Right. Yeah, it does.
He would set the wrestling world on fire in a bad way if he captured both titles, though.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if they did a title versus title match with Kofi and Seth, and then Brock came in during that match and pinned them both at the same time,
man,
then they could do that. But
you want to talk about real life heat?
Yeah. No kidding. I mean, it's kind of obvious, though, right? I mean, Vince sees Brock as above his two champions. They're making the show all about him. I have to say, at least he's engaged. You know, before I didn't feel it was all about Brock when Brock was the Universal Champion.
He used to do a good chicken. He taught me how to protect my size, and then like all within 6 months, he will all of a sudden switch to chicken shit heel, and was pulling that off. That's why me and Nathan Jones were even incorporated. We were his heaters. Like Brock Lesnar needs heaters. No, he doesn't need a heater. But that was the irony. That was like the irony in his heat. And he was starting to do really good, and he loved that role. He really did. And I think that's what he might be doing here with it. And if he does, he will be engaged with this.
Yeah. I just, my biggest problem with Brock, I've been saying this forever, is that
boring and played out.
Yeah, I mean, they do the same thing when he's on Raw. Every time Paul Heyman cuts his promo, Brock just stands there, and that's it, week after week. And then either he gets physical or he walks away. Those are one of the two options that they go. Yeah. And they kind of, and they did number 2 tonight. But I just wish Brock. I don't want him cutting 15-minute promos. I think that takes away from his aura. But dropping a line here and there. Paul not saying the same thing.
It's still not good enough for me. Even if he cut world beater promos, I'm still not engaged enough with him. I'm over it, and I'm one of his biggest fans. I am, but not anymore. It's just it's ship has sailed.
If Brock was doing those promos like he did after that Cormier fight, I think that would be so different. You don't see that.
Real life is so different, though, right?
I know.
It is.
Yeah.
He makes you so uncomfortable every time you get in an octagon and they're making a face off with somebody. He always makes it uncomfortable.
It's so great.
That's how he was backstage, by the way. He's like the king of uncomfortability. It was pretty funny.
I think the mistake they're going to make is if they keep teasing it. So tonight it was, stay tuned for the end of the show. Brock's going to do something with this briefcase. Then at the end, no, let's wait till next Monday. And then we'll announce who we're going to catch.
At least they called it, right? Did they kind of call it out at least? 3 hours for this?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And they are announcing it next week. I mean, it's pretty clear that it's going to be cashing in at the Saudi show against Seth Rollins. And assuming that's the way they go, it's kind of a waste, I think, of a Money in the Bank, a victory, because I feel like you're taking away all that excitement of a potential cash in just weeks after the event, especially since the women's has already been cashed in. And Brock didn't need it. You could easily set up Brock versus Seth without needing him to win Money in the Bank, and it's not like people wouldn't buy it.
Exactly. Yep. You know what I was kind of hoping for, though? When Lashley was finishing it off, I was like, oh, crap, they're finding them in the same ring at the same time. And they very, very smartly made sure Bobby rolled out of the ring selling. He didn't sell in the ring. Because they didn't want to have Brock and him in the same picture. They are saving that. I hope they're smart enough to get something out of that, too, one day.
Yeah, I would hope. So Brock came out with Paul Heyman to open the show tonight, talking about who's he going to cash in on as Mr. Money in the Bank. Heyman just, at least it was a different Paul Heyman promo we heard tonight. I thought, though, it was interesting. Paul Heyman actually called it out. Thought it was very true. When Seth Rollins came out and Kofi Kingston came out, talking about how you've got these champions essentially almost bidding for Brock to cash in on them. They're chasing him, not the way it usually is with this title. Do you think it makes these guys look weak already to have them in the subservient position?
Absolutely. I would have called that out immediately if I was one of them. They had an opportunity, actually. They got opportunity to talk backstage and cut a promo each, right?
Yeah.
And back together. They could have answered it then and said, I don't know who you think. I'm the world champion. I don't sweat nobody, including your big beast, who, a.k.a. I've already beaten him, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like the kids need to beat up the big bully, and when you're the champion, it should be, like you just said, it should be people coming after you, and you sitting back and being like, I'll accept all challenges, and Brock should be the one that wants the revenge because he lost the belt.
Yeah, I liked that Kofi Kingston yelled out wild card to signify he was invoking the wild card rule. That was a nice change of pace. But aside from that, didn't this remind you of the early 2000s WWE, especially after the invasion angle and whatnot? Just all these champions. I think seeing Seth and Kofi next to each other takes away being the Universal Champion, the World Heavyweight Champion. It's like, why don't we just throw the European, the Hardcore, all these other belts in there and completely diminish the concept entirely?
I don't think they think they're strong enough singularly to pull it off. That's what I got out of that. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but to have both champions on the show when ratings are an all-time low, right? They need to do something different. It tells me they don't think either one of them can carry a show, which is BS because I think Seth could. It's just they need to be able to do it. Kofi can't.
Yeah, I mean right now they got 11 titles. Before they added this 24/7 title.
I'm a fan of that, by the way, for what it's worth. I know it's going to be street comedy. I kind of like it. Because I thought it was going to be a hardcore title and then be defended 24/7.
I did like that back in the day, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. But the thing with Kofi and Seth is now since they're on both shows now, it defeats the purpose of needing two separate belts. Right. And we saw with the Usos facing Shane and Daniel Bryan and Rowan, they're probably going to get a tag title match. So you no longer, now the brand extension has been diluted so much in just the last couple of weeks that you don't really need the separate world titles anymore. Except for live events. Really, that's the only reason.
Yeah.
Which if you've seen what's happened with Roman Reigns, right? They shit can Monday live events, right?
Yeah, they canceled tonight.
So the brand extension is effectively dead for the time being.
Good.
Right?
Listen to me. I'm the biggest fan of killing it, kiboshing it all together. I want to see a mishmash of all their talents over the course of 2 shows. The key for them is not to copy what they just did the night before. Completely. You can forward the storylines. You can do a match one night. You can do a promo with that storyline with whoever it is the following night. They don't have to wrestle in 6-man tags back-to-back nights because then it kills the concept of what I like about it.
And to your point, Matt, it does feel like I felt like the show tonight. It does feel like there's a lot more stars on it now by them dropping that. By them introducing this wild card rule. It doesn't fix the problems that they have as far as long-term booking and creating stars. It's a band-aid on a bullet wound, but this show that I thought it moved faster than some of the other shows that they've been doing since Wrestle.
Because it felt like every segment we saw somebody kind of
important. Yeah.
Good. See, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, Raw tag team titles MIA. Although Hawkins and Ryder were backstage greeting Mick Foley when he came there. I think if they're
the Viking experience, whatever they're called now, Viking Raiders, they haven't been on TV in weeks.
I'm going to make a note right now, really quick. And I know I can't compare TNA to WWE and how it works. I know it's silly of me, but TNA in its heyday, right when Ric Flair and Hogan were coming in, remember? It was the night Ric Flair was coming in. He was pulling up in his limo. They had James Storm, Bobby Roode. They wanted all like the younger, what they considered the younger guys, which we weren't younger. We were mid-30s, but whatever. AJ, Joe, myself. And I remember, I'm being dead serious. It's not me being arrogant or full of myself, but this is me being confident in my gimmick at the time, which was I was supposed to be a killer giant that they were about to be putting into a main event scenario, hopefully with Hogan at the time, if he was able to go, but he had to get back surgery, unfortunately. But anyways, they were supposed to build me to that. And I said, not to sound like a dick here or anything, or full of myself and I'm captain over Matt Morgan all of a sudden, but hear me out. Would that make sense for me to be sitting out there waiting to you know what I mean? To kiss Ric Flair's ass, showing up and be, oh, thank you for coming to TNA. No, I was supposed to be a dicky, arrogant heel. I would never do that. That's beneath the blueprint. This over arrogant, perfect, Mr. Perfect of the Giants, if you will, right? And they listened, and I wasn't a part of that. So like tonight, you see the Zack Ryder and Cody Hawkins doing that. It diminishes them. It makes them look like J-Brons, not because there's the connection to Long Island. I get it, but it made them look like J-Brons.
Yeah, and who else is in those segments? It's the guys that aren't being used on TV. They're the guys on main event.
Not your champions.
Right. So they need to get those titles off of Hawkins and Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. And this is not criticizing them. It's just you see where WWE pegs them at.
So and I just wonder, Raj, you talk to the guys probably more than I do, I'm guessing. Can they say anything anymore? Like, are they at a point? Is it still at a level? When I was there, you couldn't say nothing to WWE creative about not being comfortable doing things. I know that they'd fire you basically if you're on my level. But can they do it? Is it different? Is a different place there now where you can talk like that and say, hey, you know what? It doesn't make sense for me to be in this. Would they be in trouble?
I would think those guys would be in trouble. I think, like a Seth Rollins or someone like that can, will speak up, but and suggest things. And Roman, obviously, the top guys, but not underneath that now.
Okay, it sounds dicky no matter what way. Even telling you the story back with Flair, who I idolize, obviously, and I got to work. It was an amazing opportunity. Still, though, I was thinking about the character first.
No, it makes sense. It's like I go back to when Baron Corbin made his main roster debut and won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal and was crying. And it's like your first night in, you're making this impression. You're supposed to be this arrogant, pompous heel, and you're crying over winning that, and you're doing the Andre the Giant pose. Like, that just doesn't.
You're right.
Just doesn't jive. But I agree. I think it's important to stay true to the character because that's what people are watching the show for.
And what sometimes sucks is guys, fans will run away with it, like, oh, what a work for themselves. And it's like, I see both sides of it, but the guys have to be comfortable doing that eventually. Those are the guys I will eventually want to pay to see because I believe they believe they're that character, which is intriguing to me as a fan versus someone who's just in the role for that night and then, could be wearing a pumpkin on their head the following night and being okay with that, killing their character.
Right.
I don't respect that guy as much.
By the way, did you guys catch what Brock said to Kofi?
No.
Well, it was, he was mouthing it, but he didn't say it on the mic. But Kofi was saying how he needed to beat Brock so he can go down as one of the great WWE champions of all time. And Brock goes, "Look at you, man." It was so brutal. I was like, oh man, Brock is raw.
is a weird era. This experiment is either going to further the spiral down on the ratings, or it's going to succeed. But if it succeeds, it's going to bury an entire generation of talent that WWE is hoarding right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this could be just something until Saudi Arabia, and then Brock loses and is gone again for a while.
Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, if he came back to put Seth or even better Kofi over, huge fan.
Yes, me too. I'm still annoyed that they wasted the briefcase on him, though, Raj.
Yeah, no, I agree. You could have done it without him needing the briefcase. It was a crazy surprise. No one saw that coming. No one predicted that, but you didn't need it. Just for a quick pop from the crowd, that briefcase could have helped build someone like a Drew McIntyre or Ricochet or Ali, but it's kind of gone to waste this year.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So after that, the anti-build, Sami Zayn versus Braun Strowman. Sami running from Braun, asks Bobby Lashley to do something, and then Braun ends up kicking the crap out of Sami. Clothesline, running power slam, gets an easy win over him. I'm afraid there's no build payoff to the Sami Zayn promos we've been seeing lately. I mean, is he ever going to get the better of Braun Strowman? Would that even make sense at this point?
Right.
I mean, he did get the better of him last week. This is just their 50-50 stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he just looks really weak.
Well, look realistically too. If seeing Sami throwing Braun around doesn't really work. So I mean, for him, really realistically to beat Braun, it's got to be a little underhanded,
banana peel.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But
guys, that's been happening. That's been happening with big man and little man since the beginning of time of wrestling. That's not to crap on the smaller wrestler.
Right.
That's just to put over how damn big Braun is.
Actually, that match where Sami, what was it, the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Remember back in, was it 2016?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
That was good because it put over that Sami had all this heart. I mean, made him the ultimate baby face. That was really cool.
It was.
Right. But he's a heel. He's a mid-card heel right now. That's where they've got him slotted at.
Yeah. So that totally happened. Alexa Bliss hanging out with Nikki Cross backstage before Moment of Bliss. Was there some story to this that I missed last week between Alexa and Nikki? That seems like a very odd pairing.
That's it.
Okay.
It's like they saw what they did with Mickey and Alexa and hey, let's do that with Nikki Cross. So
strange bedfellows kind of gimmick is stupid.
Yeah, Lars Sullivan comes out to the ring. We see a video package about how dominant he's been. Before he gets a chance to speak, the Lucha House Party comes out for payback.
Yeah, and they pretty much got beat up and went back packing. I mean, it's what they should be doing. I mean, as far as building Lars, Lucha House Party are guys that they're not really using. They're not featured. But there are guys that people know. You don't consider them necessarily to be like, who's a good example?
The clones.
Yeah, exactly. They're
more important than them.
They're more important. So you're giving Lars
3 people.
Yeah.
It's more impressive. It just is. But let me ask you a question. What did you think of the fans' reaction to him tonight? Last night, they couldn't have cared any less. In fact, I thought they felt like they were over it, actually. I thought last night. I went back and rewatched it again and listened to them.
Tonight, it wasn't good. There were some boos when he came out there. I'm actually really surprised. I know we addressed the controversy and him paying the $100,000 fine and all that stuff.
I don't think it's that. It's that. And I don't
it's part of it.
Respect to the kid. I hope he does good. I root for him. But he's not built like Brock was. He's not 6'10", whatever, like Braun is. Dude, you know what I mean? I don't know what it is about him. He's like old school brawny type of old school, beer gut, but big, hairy looking, you know what I mean? Tough guy wrestler.
Like an ox baker almost.
Yes. So I just don't think I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what it is because I don't get it. Why they're not responding.
I wonder if it's also too. I mean, it took Braun a little bit when they started doing the same thing with him. They weren't reacting right off the bat. And remember, I think a lot of people were talking about how this is going to fail. And
they were annoyed. Remember how annoyed they were with it? And every week, like, no, this needs to happen. You'll see if this needs to happen.
Yeah. And then it eventually worked out. So I think it's too soon. Maybe the controversy is hurting a little bit. I don't know. I would think there would probably be more like rude chants or something for him if that were the case.
Right.
Maybe. And what did you make of Paul Heyman calling out Seth's girlfriend, making reference to Becky Lynch during that opening promo? We forgot about that.
I didn't think anything of it.
He said something along the lines. What did he say? Like he waited 7 years so he could see. He didn't get to main event WrestleMania. His girlfriend did, or something along those lines. The way he delivered it was pretty funny, though.
It was, but again, it knocks Seth down.
Yeah, for sure.
Paul's usually better than that.
Yeah, usually. Cesaro versus Ricochet. This is a high point. Cesaro's new entrance is not, but
I like the entrance.
Come on, he used to have that transporter James Bond male stripper thing going on.
You don't want to go back to that. I think I think it was just regressive to go back to that.
This was so generic tonight. Just that music, that logo, looked very 2003. I don't know.
I don't think they know what to do with them.
Yeah, I think because with that whole Bond thing, he never got over as a top guy, or they never pushed him as a top guy. Right. So to go back to that, it would just feel like he's going back to that area, that spot on the card he was.
He should be trying something different right now. Really should. Right now is the time for him too.
Yeah. I like it better than him coming out to the bars music. I think they can still tweak it.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of the match, though, and Cesaro picking up a win over Ricochet?
I did not see that. I did not see, again, Ricochet losing again. What the hell are they doing?
I think Ricochet has only won one singles match since he split with Aleister Black. That was with Bobby Roode when they switched traded victories.
Let's hope it's a plan where they're just testing him, Raj.
What's that?
Let's hope it's a plan where they're just testing him. See if he put up with
how often do we say that? And
blow him up.
I think once you just start beating a guy a lot, he's lost to Baron Corbin. Was that last week? I don't know. I mean, once you just start getting, once fans just see a guy just getting beat over and over every other week, it just takes that specialness out.
I agree with this so much. Even when I wrestled myself, I would say back in the day, I would say the same thing. I had this argument with Russo sometimes, not argument, a conversation, because he, despite his, his downsides and things of that nature, you could still always talk to him honestly, as the head writer at the time. And I remember we would talk about how he would say wins and losses don't matter. There's no such thing as a push. And I'm like, yes, there is.
Yeah,
there is. People do care if you win and lose. They do. If that's not the case, then cool. Let me win tonight. If it's not a big deal. But what? I'd always do that too.
Cesaro is ice cold right now. Cesaro did not need this win.
No, he did not. Ricochet did.
Or they could have given him a win against somebody else. Give Ricochet a win against somebody.
Yes.
You're not using Apollo Crews or anyone. You're doing this. The wild card. You could use anybody for Cesaro to beat this week and give Ricochet some wins. So he's got some momentum. He was awesome last night, and I thought this match was great too. Him and Cesaro, I thought it was really good. But just again, wins and losses do matter. We've seen it. How many top guys do you see make it while they're getting beat all the time? You don't. And once they start losing their steam, that's when they're getting beat all the time.
Yeah.
AJ Styles had a backstage segment with Baron Corbin. Slapped him in the face. Maybe that's his new feud.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think Corbin's going to win it, and they're going to go to Corbin and Seth after that.
I do too.
Roman Reigns came out, wild card rule. Confronted by Shane McMahon, out with Drew McIntyre. And Shane says he's done with The Miz now. Roman says he's done with Elias. So we're getting Roman and Shane in Saudi Arabia.
I don't know if no, I don't like anything about that.
They really got nothing for Roman right now. He's your top guy, and that's the best they can do.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, Elias and now Shane McMahon. It's like, man, you got to do something.
I mean, I see why. Like if you had to bring a star in real quick and like, oh crap, we weren't expecting him back right now. We need to put him with somebody that's of substance and big name value. Do you know what I mean? Then you know what? Then you open up your damn bank account and you go your wallet, Vince, and you go get like someone like another Goldberg. You know what I mean? You go get another big name like that, and you throw whatever money you got to throw out there because your ratings are tanking. And they're on this kick right now where they think they have to go back and get these older names, right?
Yeah.
But you also got Randy Orton there, who's not doing anything right now either. So you could
have they worked?
Orton and Reigns?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's been a long time. It was like when Reigns first split from the Shield. They had that match at SummerSlam that Reigns won.
That could be good. No, yeah, right. That could be good. Yeah,
and maybe they are. You know, they need stuff for SummerSlam. Maybe they're holding off on that for later in the summer. But
it just feels like they had to put like a big name with him because they weren't expecting this that he was going to be back like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Shane McMahon is a big name. It's just unfortunately it doesn't look right when wrestlers if he's beating guys on the roster.
Yeah, it
just doesn't.
Yeah, and there's no heat to this feud. I mean, it's not interesting.
No, there's zero heat to it at all, and it puts us in weird scenarios where if he's saving Miz, when there's no way on God's green earth anybody's ever saving Miz. After years of you know what I mean, heat and crap storms he's caused those guys, and he just was such a great heel for so damn long. Nobody would ever save him, and it would make sense as to why actually.
Geez, real quick, back to the match. Did you notice that one part where Ricochet did that suicide dive from the ring to the outside, and they had cut to an inset ad for Secret Life of Pets right as he was getting ready to do that?
No.
Yeah, they cut to an ad. Fast? I mean, right before Ricochet could get going on the move, they cut to this ad, so the audio switched, and it just took so much of the impact out of it. So. It was just the worst timing for that.
I don't know what they're missing with him. He is a star.
Yeah, no, he's the one. If I was going to invest in anyone right now of the newer talents on Raw, he would be the one I'd be building because I think that you need to water that plant, as it were, so it will pay off in the future.
Yeah, his promos aren't the strongest, but again, if you are, GSP, you could say his promos weren't the strongest, but you get around it. You use that to their advantage. Yeah. But WWE only knows one style with promos, and that's where Ricochet is going to get hurt until they could figure out a way to let different characters be, have different styles with their promos and present them in different ways.
Yeah.
After that, the Usos versus the Revival. The feud continues. Were there any new sort of juvenile shenanigans tonight? I know we referenced the old ones during the broadcast.
I'm a fan anytime these guys are able to have an actual wrestling match with each other. Do you know what I mean? The four of them. So
absolutely. Match was great, I thought. The Revival picking up a win was good.
I felt like it took a little time for the fans to have to forget the stupid crap that they've been doing the last few weeks. And then they got into it. And then as the match went on, they were just more and more into it. And I thought it was a really strong match. Between this and the Cesaro and Ricochet match, they were really good.
Wow.
And if you had left this feud to be at this, the two best teams on Raw, wrestling for the tag titles, and you have this be a title feud, not, whatever they have going on with it, which is pretty much nothing. It would just be way more effective. It would help both teams, and it would help the tag titles.
Yeah. This was a strong hour, I thought. Better parts of the wrestling here. But no, I really enjoyed this match. It's amazing that this is the front and center Raw tag team feud, and the tag titles aren't involved in it at all. To your point, Raj, it really says something about where Ryder and Hawkins are right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this since at WrestleMania. I'm like, I don't see them really ever giving these guys a real push. It's just something that's kind of cute. And, it gets Kurt Hawkins some wins, which is funny, I guess. But no one takes those tag titles seriously right now.
After that, we had, what did happen after that? More build up for Moment of Bliss, but before that, we had Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse again. This continued on what we saw last week with the masked character, the Let Me In, which was really, really super creepy. Do you think this was the original plan to just have this tonight, Raj, or do you think they were going to debut him and the birth of his son delayed that a week?
I don't think so. Because I think all of these were taped, way in advance.
It just seems so short.
It was short, and I think maybe that's, that was it. But I mean, they're not filming these week to week. These were all filmed at once.
Yeah.
What did you think of this, Matt? What do you think of the mask?
Awesome.
Yeah.
They continue to be some of the best part of the show.
Creepy as hell. I hope they don't screw this up.
Mm-hmm.
Moment of Bliss. Becky Lynch came out. No longer Becky 2 belts after dropping the SmackDown Women's title last night to Charlotte. And then, of course, Bayley cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase to become the new SmackDown Women's champ. The Iconics came out to mock Becky. Becky was out there with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Lacey Evans came out, and next thing you know, 6-woman tag match.
This is Matt's expression about getting some on you, right?
Yep.
As far as Becky, could you imagine if Steve Austin was just lost the title and the headbangers are talking down to him and ripping him?
Good analogy, actually. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it just brings Becky down.
It definitely does.
This is the women's division. This was the sole women's segment tonight, unless I'm forgetting something, right?
No, I think this was it.
And I think this is it's gonna be one segment per show until at least Saudi Arabia, because they've clearly got nothing for them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think, all the people who were saying Ronda was bad for the women's division or anything, you see where they're at without her. They definitely don't have the focus on it.
They screwed Becky up, though. Let's be fair here. If they kept Becky where she was and not doing it, all started when they started putting more attention on Charlotte and Ronda and took the limelight off of Becky. That's when it started, her decrescendo of not on her but on them, on how they were booking her. And from there, remember, she'd come out in promos on crutches. She was hurt. We never got to see her like badass Becky. That's what everyone was buying at the time. Badass Becky. Mm-hmm. And they just immediately, they kept trying to extinguish it almost. It felt like week after week after week. Oh, no, she's too white hot. No, here's some water this week. Here's some more water the next week. I'm like, you buffoon. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And then, so now she's stuck where they got her at now, and she's not as meaningful as she should be, because, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And she still could, she's still super over. The fans still love her. They just need
more over than Ronda.
Yeah.
With live audiences, she was. So I mean, again, yeah, Ronda obviously helps. She's a huge name and really, really good at what she had to do when she wrestled, actually.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's because of her that the women's division's down at the moment. No, I don't know.
So Becky, Alexa Bliss, and Nikki Cross won. I was going to say the faces won, but is Alexa Bliss a face now? I mean, no. Nikki, I guess, kind of.
Nope.
Yeah, so they beat the Iconics and Lacey Evans. I don't know what they do with Lacey going forward from here. Women are just in a tough spot right now. I think maybe in the build to Stomping Grounds, that's the next pay-per-view in a month.
Why can't Lacey wrestle her again? I don't understand.
I don't know.
I think they will. I mean, this is clearly continuing. I think this was just a way to get Becky a win since she just lost last night. The last match she had, she lost. So this was a way to get her a victory.
I'm entertained with the two of them. Becky versus Lacey.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do more with it. Some sort of story with it. But yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else. Who else would be a credible Raw challenger for Becky right now?
And not even that fresh is really the other part of it.
Yeah.
Hard times, man. This is difficult to watch occasionally, more often than not lately. Mick Foley came out, wanted to unveil a new title, talked about that the third hour of Raw is going to be different going forward, which I thought was interesting. And again, people are noticing a different look tonight. They cut some of the lights. It was a bit darker looked a little more like an NXT takeover in terms of production. and wanted to introduce a new title that would be a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week title. They did not call it the hardcore title, but he unveiled the new green belt for the WWE 24/7 title to not much of a reaction from the crowd. Actually, the crowd
got big booed.
Yeah, it was not good. The fact they didn't perk up until he said that superstars on Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, NXT, and NXT UK, maybe even a visiting legend, are going to be able to compete for this. That woke him up a little bit, and then he dropped it in the middle of the ring and said, "Okay, guys, scramble." Now, this isn't to diss the title and be a hater on it from the get-go, but if you're trying to establish a brand new title and give it some juice, do you want Cedric Alexander, EC3, Gallows and Anderson, Mojo Rawley, Titus O'Neil, No Way Jose, and Eric Young, the guys brawling to be the first 24/7 champ?
They should have. I think they should have said for the beginning, or the introductory to this title, we gotta have people who've never. We're gonna have people that are champion before, and then name those rosters that you said before.
That would have gotten the crowd invested.
Where the middle card guys came out, and it then made sense, and it didn't hurt the title because there's only mid card guys going after that title.
Matt, that's a great point. They in fact should have said, we're going to call out everyone from the back who has never held a belt before and say, you guys are going to get first crack at this. Mm-hmm. That would have got the audience more invested and would have been a better launch, as opposed to making it look like WWE's main event scrambling for this title.
And then say, once the first person has won, all bets are off, and everybody is now up for that title.
Yeah, absolutely. Raj?
I mean, I thought I was with the fans when they took the belt out, and right off the bat, he's saying this is going to be defended in the third hour of Raw, right?
Yeah.
And then they say it's a 24/7 belt. So if it's 24/7, it shouldn't be just during the third hour Raw. It should be at any time during the show, or any time during the week. So right off the bat, it makes no sense what they're explaining. And then when they have those guys, and I'm a big fan of a lot of those guys. I think a lot of those guys are underused. I mean, we talk about EC3 all the time. I think Titus is talented in a lot of different ways. But right off the bat, Matt's expression, the belt got a lot on it. It just made it seem like it's a joke title right off the bat. And every week it's going to be the same batch of guys that are kind of in the mix for this thing. They're not going to be putting Drew McIntyre or Lars Sullivan or the guys that they're really pushing for it.
That's okay. And listen to me, why? Because when the hardcore title was put out there, same thing then.
Yeah.
Every once in a while,
you had Mick Foley
win it. Have it for a second. Mick won it for a second. RVD had it for like a minute there. But come on, Johnny Stamboli had it.
Didn't Raven win it like 30 times?
Yeah, like there's a bunch of guys, Bob Howe, guys like that had it. So that was a mid-card title and then some, and we always knew it was. But it was exciting because you never know who would have it, right? Because they chase each other, and it was always like, what's his name? Not Bob Holly. His Crash.
Right.
Crash Holly would always end up winning and then running away. It was pretty funny, actually. He did a good job with it.
He did.
Spike, everybody. It was always so good because of that. And honestly, it gives the Sammys and the other people too, in my opinion, an opportunity to do some funny things with that. Sammy could do something really good with that, in my opinion.
Glenn, you had a funny suggestion about one of those table for threes or one of those ride
along table for three, all of it, right? I'm positive, mark my words, maybe after tomorrow night, I think this week it will change hands on social media or YouTube.
Yeah.
It should. Video. Yeah.
It should, though. They should try that.
Yeah.
It takes some creativity to do that. I'm not going to give them that much credit right now. With
that's what you're saying.
No, the web team. I actually think the web team and the backstage team.
But the wrestlers but the wrestlers are traveling too, right? And they're going back home. They're not. After tomorrow, they're not going to be. The Raw guys right now. No, I guess they could be at SmackDown now.
They're not running a show counter to it tomorrow night.
No, they don't. Yeah, they don't run Raw shows counter to SmackDown live tapings.
I think Vince, after a week, I don't think Vince even cares now who holds this. So Robert Roode got this off Titus O'Neil, who got it first. Titus O'Neil was the first champ, then Robert Roode, and by the end of the show, R-Truth had it, tricked Roode out of it, and drove away with it. So, yeah, I think this is going to keep bouncing around. I think Sami Zayn should be technically a little above this right now, the way they've positioned
he
it so
should be.
far.
I think he can make. I'm saying that he can make that title mean something because I know he can do some funny things with it.
Yeah, I guess whenever you need to give it a jump. I mean, the hardcore title didn't last that long the last time it was around, but it was entertaining. But at the same time, they did a lot of creative stuff back then.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what they can do.
Yep. After that, The Miz versus Drew McIntyre. What did you think of this match, Matt?
Again, I'm subscribing to Raj's theory that it's tough to take Miz as a face.
Yeah.
I hate admitting that because I root for him, like personally. I'm a big fan of how hard he's worked to get where he's gotten. I legitimately am. Rather. But it's not his fault. It's just it's tough. It's tough to take him seriously because Shane McMahon doesn't piss me off. There's nothing about him that gets heat from me, the fan watching him.
Very likable guy, I
I'm
think.
never like that dastardly Shane McMahon. I hope Miz serves him up his comeuppance finally. I never say that. I never think that.
I think when he was younger, he was really unlikable.
Yeah, but do you know what I'm saying? Like for you to make Miz a babyface, that heel has got to be in fuego full of heat. He has to outdick Miz in order to get babyface heat on Miz. If that makes sense.
But the Miz is doing promos for The Secret Life of Pets and talking about what his pets do when he's away.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I feel like WWE thinks the same thing. They're not pushing. I mean, Miz gets beaten by everybody now. I mean, he's losing constantly. So the sooner he could turn back heel, I think the better it is for him.
Yeah. So Shane tried to attack the Miz after Drew McIntyre won that match, and then Roman Reigns came to the Miz's defense. But yeah, there was just nothing really there.
That would never happen. Nobody would come save Miz. I'm being serious. That would be creative writing. That would be consistent creative writing. That everyone say, no way. Don't you remember back like 2 years ago when he did this to me? Remember 5 years ago he said this about me on Miz TV or whatnot? Hell no. Nobody would make that save. And it would make sense. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't kill him as a babyface either, quite honestly. It would just be another layer to the storyline that, this new version of Miz, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's another obstacle for him to have to, a hurdle for him to have to jump, of truly seeing this good side of him, if you will, right? Like, he's got a whole locker full of guys that think it's an act, think he's not this goody two-shoe guy. All of a sudden, they think he's still a jerk, yada, yada, yada. And that's a different direction they can go with that. They continue to give him babyface, which I don't think they're going to do.
After that, backstage, we learned that Rey Mysterio had dislocated his shoulder or separated his shoulder last night at Money in the Bank against Samoa Joe. So we got a backstage promo from Samoa Joe saying, since he was never pinned, he never lost the title, and Rey should just be a man and give it back to him.
Now, you guys normally crap on those phone promos. Let me be very clear. That promo was fire, rather. I loved Joe's intensity in this promo a lot. His voice, his cadence, his look. He looks like a badass.
So Joe doesn't count as one of the four, right? With the wild card by appearing here.
No, he's on Raw now.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, right. It's hard to keep track.
Not that it matters. Not that it matters at all. These rules don't matter. This is all arbitrary. They will change it all.
Raj, if he was or wasn't.
Just because they also had R-Truth. Yeah, it was more than 4, but I guess it was just 4 this week. So.
And the main event tonight. The main event, after R-Truth tricked Robert Roode out of the 24/7 title, we got Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley and Baron Corbin. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. This wasn't a bad match.
No, it's just we're getting. I don't know.
Just sick of these guys. All of them.
Yeah, I feel bad. I mean, because Baron, we keep saying like he has improved. He has. He's gotten good. I can't get past the damn outfit. I don't know what it is.
I'm the same way.
Obsessed with it, but I think I am.
He was wrestling in a T-shirt at live events.
I'm the same way, man. When this is the same thing with Kane when he was wearing the white T-shirt and slacks. I just could not take him, as a top heel when he was corporate Kane. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't look like a main eventer.
And he's wrestling like one.
He is. His punches, his kicks, everything. He's going into his deep six?
Mm-hmm.
He's going into his finisher at really ultra creative moments in the mat. Like, he's doing immensely much better than he was. He's doing really good. He had just drop the damn chart. How hard is this?
Yeah. Well, this match was pretty much just filler to get to Brock coming out.
Meaningful looks. Brock and Paul Heyman. Who's he going to cash in on? What's going to happen? No, I mean, you knew Brock wasn't cashing in when he came out at 7:59 or p.m.
Right.
Pacific.
Right. You had 1 minute.
Yeah.
You guys, it's never going to be Kofi. It's never going to be Brock and Kofi.
No.
It's going to be Seth. Like, well, you guys already said it earlier, and you're right. It's going to be Seth. It's going to be Seth, and Seth's going to pick up a win.
Unless Brock's sticking around.
I
Could
don't
be.
care if he sticks around. He does not need the title.
Yeah.
I know. But, and this is what I saw last night online.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The response, everyone was saying, okay, from Vince McMahon's perspective, we gave you exactly what you wanted. We gave you Seth Rollins, Kofi Kingston, Becky Lynch at the top. We gave you that at WrestleMania, and then ratings took a nosedive in the 6 weeks following. So now we gotta get back in business and get the Beast back here, get Brock in here to boost ratings up, and put him at the top of this company to stop the ship from sinking.
Well, year to year, ratings were down before WrestleMania. And this kind of the same percentage. Actually, it is down more since WrestleMania. But yeah, I do get the feeling, like, mainstream wise, they don't see Seth and Kofi at that level right now. So they're not bringing in new fans, and no one really is right now. And they need to find a way to do that. Brock is a stopgap. What's it called? Stopgap measure. Or whatever, but like I said earlier, the Band-Aid on the bullet wound. They need to work on focusing on certain talents, trying to find how to make them the biggest star possible, and have intriguing storylines.
It's not about the names, guys. I really think they're wrong on this. It's not. I don't think it's the big names that are going to do it. They'll pop a rating for a night if you advertise it in advance, like Undertaker's coming back or Shawn Michaels is coming back. That might pop it a little bit, right? But it's the entire face of the show is what needs to change. You guys remember a while back, maybe it was a year ago, I said, I think they need to change the entire aesthetic of this show. They need to change the logo. They need to change the ramp. They need to change the entranceways. They need to change, like, they're not evolving. There's something that's missing. And no one else has been able to do it yet either, by the way. I just don't know what that it is. I feel like we're stuck in that era right before the Attitude Era hit, right? But it's been like 20 years that they're stuck in that Doink the Clown era, if you will. not because we weren't expecting the Attitude Era to come when it did. Nobody expected that, right? But I feel like we're waiting on that next something.
Right, the next
process, but it's taking too long to get there, whatever that it is. That changes the landscape of the wrestling business and how it's filmed, maybe something like that.
Yeah, the look of the show is pretty much the same in the last 20 years, as far as the screen and the ramp, and open up the show with the promo and gets interrupted, and that whole format has just been done forever. So we'll see. I mean, I'm curious what AEW will look like. They got Double or Nothing this Saturday. I'm curious what their look and presentation will be. I mean, this is a pay-per-view, not their weekly show. That won't be until October, most likely. But this is a good chance to show that they're going to be something different, and make sure that their set and everything does not look like WWE.
I'm looking forward to it. So Kofi and Seth won that match. That was Monday Night Raw. We'll see what happens tomorrow on SmackDown. Big E's coming back, and the New Day is having a celebration to welcome him back on SmackDown tomorrow night. Speaking of Double or Nothing and Starrcast II happening this week, it was announced today that Ric Flair is not going to be there. And the roast of Ric Flair. Did they officially say what's happening with that, Raj?
Flair is not going. They haven't announced a replacement or what's going to be happening with it. But Flair underwent heart surgery earlier today, and apparently it went pretty well. Ric Flair's wife, Wendy, told TMZ that the operation was a success, and Flair's now recovering. So he's actually booked for an appearance on May 31st. It's an indie appearance. I think it's a signing or something, and I'll have more on that in a little bit. But the promoter had sent us something just a little bit ago saying that Flair's said that he's still going to be there. So and that's the week after next. So it seems like he's doing pretty well, and will be back on his feet really soon.
Glad the surgery went well. Wish him a swift and speedy recovery from that, and I'm sure there'll be more news soon about that roast. What is happening at Starrcast this Friday? Wrestling Inc. Hootenanny, the panel happening 2:30. The podcast movement stage.
Stop calling it a hootenanny. That's freaking lame.
I'm trying, Matt. I didn't come up with that. I'm trying to be a corporate guy and play along with this here, since I'm appearing on this panel with Raj, Nick Hausman. Kelsey's going to be a part of it as well, and then we have one other.
Scott Fishman.
Yeah, Scott Fishman. That's right.
I'm friends with Scott Fishman. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it'll be fun. We'll be talking about all the big news of the week. We'll be talking about Double or Nothing, WWE ratings, whatever you guys want to talk about. We'll have prizes and everything. So definitely check it out. 2:30 at the Tuscany Suites.
Come up to them on my behalf, guys, and clown them for calling it hootenanny, please.
You want us to FaceTime you in, Matt, on this panel so you can just talk shit the whole time? Yeah, okay.
No, it's like why the fans talks back to you and make fun of you for calling.
But I will be back here on Saturday, and me and Matt will be covering Double or Nothing Saturday night.
Man, I'm excited to watch. This is gonna be good.
No, absolutely. And we'll see. We'll see who's replacing Pac in the match against Hangman Page.
Yeah, that should be announced tomorrow.
Oh, they're going to announce it ahead of time. Not surprised at the event. Interesting.
I think they're gonna show the match, the Pac Hangman Page match that took place in the UK tomorrow. They're gonna air that, so I'm gonna assume that they're kind of say what they're gonna do from there.
Okay, there you have it, and we'll be back tomorrow night to talk about SmackDown Live, right when it goes off the air on the East Coast. Matt Morgan, before we take it home, anything you want to plug?
No.
Okay.
Real quick, I'm on Ryback's podcast. I mentioned that last night. It dropped today, so definitely check that out. We talked for over an hour on, the rights of wrestlers and how much say they have over their creative, and how much Ryback goes into detail about how much his pay changed over creative decisions that were made. A lot of interesting stuff. It's definitely worth checking out. So check it out. Ryback's Conversation with the Big Guy podcast, and yeah.
Nice. No, I look forward to giving that a listen. And I'm Glenn Rubenstein. You can find me on Twitter at Glenn Rubenstein, where I live tweet along with WWE programming. Until next time, folks, we'll catch you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.